everyone, and welcome to the special Children's Day edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. I'm Karunya Rao, and today it's all about the kids. We'll be helping you out throughout the show to plan how you can invest better, how you can plan your child's future better. We have a very special guest also joining us to help you out with those queries. Mrin is the founder director of FinSafe. Mrin, hi, very good morning, and thank you so much for taking time out to join us on this very special day. We'll be talking about all about children, and you will be helping out our viewers as well as our special queries that we have garnered for helping our set of parents plan their kids' future in a better way. So we have a host of queries lined up today. Zainul and Nehan Baroda Wala from Mumbai, they will be joining us as well. So let's listen in to their query before we proceed further with Mrin, should we?
Hi guys, I'm Zainul Barodawala and she's my wife.
Hi, I'm Nehan. These are my twin children, Zidan Barodawala, Ruhan Barodawala.
I would like to ask you that we have been investing in mutual funds only for them. I have invested in two mutual funds. Those are HDFC and Birla Sun Life. So my question is that whether we should go for a PPF or a LIC for them.
Well, Mrin, let's bring you on board. You've heard their query from the Baroda Walas. They have a set of boys, very lively, very cheery, and they have already started investing. Mutual funds is the route that they have taken up for now. Can you tell us, or can you tell them what exactly should they be doing additionally to what they've been doing so far?
Well, hello everybody and happy Children's Day. Nice to be here today. With respect to this particular query, I think it's good that they started with mutual funds, but and in respect to the fact whether they should do PPF and insurance, well, I don't believe in investment linked insurance plans or the child plans that are available. Simply because the invested returns in these plans have been very, very low. Now, with respect to PPF, it is a good investment. They have to, of course, remember that it is a 15-year investment. And more importantly, the point to be noted is that in a family of 4, you can have only 2 PPF accounts. So if the parents already have PPF accounts, then you can't open PPF accounts for the children. So keep that in mind and continue investing.
All right, Mrin, before we proceed further and talk about some more queries that we've received from different set of parents, I just want to know, do you typically get these kind of requests or queries, or even in a social circle, are you asked by parents about how they can plan their kids' future better?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these queries are really common, and especially I think nowadays, and it's good to see that there's a lot of focus on building up a large education fund for the children. So yes, I do.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get more specific then. We have another query that we would like to address at this point in the show. Namit Shah from Mumbai says, he has to ask some questions with respect to his child's future. Let's see what the question is, Namit.
Hi, my name is Namit Shah. I work with Standard Chartered Bank. I have a daughter, Tiana, who is 10 years old. What I basically have done for her investment is divided my money into three sections. One is for her education, one is for her marriage, and one is for her, travel, living, and all her fun stuff. What I really would like to know from any of the experts is there any other avenue which can be looked at or invested into up to a period of maybe she is about 25-30 years, so that later on she can fall back on that security and can help her out in future.
Well, Mrin, I'd leave the floor open to you. Tell us how he can plan his child's future, his 10-year-old daughter's future better.
Well, it's good to know that he's bucketed her needs, and of course education is there, marriage is there, and some nest egg to form a security. Now, since she is only 10 years old and he's looking at investment for the next 15 to 20 years, I think a good investment would certainly then be equity mutual funds. And if he's not invested in mutual funds earlier, I think he could look at starting off with multi-caps. But given that he's got 15 to 20 years to go, certainly he should look at investing in some mid-cap funds. And again, the thing to always keep in mind and remember is that there will be volatility along the way, but he really needs to be disciplined about remaining invested. Again, if he wants to be more conservative and he doesn't really want to take risk, then of course he has the option of looking at PPF as well for a 15-year investment. But there was another thing that I'd like to tell Namit, and while it's nice to really look at providing a sort of a fund as a nest egg or as a security for the child when the child grows up, I think what's also really important is to get the children involved in money management. And towards that, since she's 10 years old right now, I think he could start talking to her about what are the sort of things he's doing to build up her education fund and how he's really going about investing. And I think one of the reasons for doing this is because then children can actually learn along the way, and also when they grow up and they start working, it becomes easier for them to start managing money.
All right. Well, I hope Namit is hearing us and he's able to take the right decisions for his daughter going forward and add on to what he's already doing in order to save up for a whole host of things he has planned for his little one. Next up, we have another query. Neha and Ankur Sadhwani from New Delhi have a question for Mrin. Let's take it on board.
Hi, my name is Neha. I'm a human resource professional. This is my husband Ankur. He's into consulting, and we have a 3-year-old.
And our question is about our 3 years old. So we want to ensure that my son Athar, when he turns 21, we should not be worried about his higher education. So we want to create a corpus of fund and not be worried about his future when he goes for his higher education. So any advice, any plans right now will be very good to know.
Well, Mrin, they have a 3-year-old and they do have a fair amount of time to start planning and to start executing on your recommendations and a whole host of other plans that they may have laid out. So given that they have a lot of time, about 17 to 18 odd years, 21 years is when they want to send the child for higher education, what will be your advice and how should they be planning their future, their child's future?
First and foremost, they just need to quantify their goal further, because they talked about the time period. But what's also important is to talk about the amount of money that they need. Typically, higher education, if you want to send the child abroad, it costs around 50 lakhs a year. So they certainly would need to quantify their goal and figure out that if they were to send the child today to college, how much is it going to cost? Now, let's assume that this amount is 50 lakhs. Per year. So what they need to then do is that they can use a goal planning calculator. These calculators are freely available online. I mean, they can just look it up saying goal planning calculator. The calculator will really help in telling them how much they need to be investing for this particular goal every month. So if we're assuming a 50 lakh goal, they roughly need to be investing about 25,000 rupees every month for the next 18 years. But that is only the 1 year education cost. Obviously, they need to take into account, 2 to 3 years the total education cost, and then figure out the total amount that they need to save. Again, since the time frame is quite long, it's 17-18 years, they must look at equity funds, and within that I would really suggest to look at more of mid-cap funds. Of course, if they don't want to take that much risk and they want to be more conservative, then they can look at multi-cap funds, but I would suggest either multi-cap or mid-cap funds for this particular goal.
All right, so those were the three interesting parent profiles and their queries that we wanted to address with you, Mrin. But, just want to also talk to you about those who are watching the show. If they have a kid who's just probably a newborn or is just an infant at this point. So in order to start looking at the kid's future, what are some do's and don'ts that one should keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, don't go and buy a child plan, because that's the most common thing that people do, that they go and buy a child plan from an insurance company. And again, most of these plans do not yield you very high returns. So I think that's first and foremost. Second thing is, of course, they need to start saving for education fund ASAP, because the earlier you start, the better it is, because you need to be saving a smaller amount. Don't go overboard on your purchases. It's really seen that what happens is that when you have a child, you just want to buy everything under the sun and have all the toys available and really splurge. So I think you need to have budgeted spending in place in terms of what you're going to be spending on things like toys or whatever else with respect to the child. Another thing to keep in mind is, of course, like if both parents are working, then they need to hire help, and that's not very easy to get, and it's pretty expensive as well. So somewhere they need to also budget that as part of their budgeting as well. So really, I would say it is to start investing right away. Invest in equity funds. That would be the best option to start. Of course, if it's a girl child, they can also look at the Sukanya Samriddhi scheme, which has a 21-year lock-in. That's another option that's there if they want to be more conservative. But between equity funds and Sukanya Samriddhi is what they choose. They invest regularly and don't go overboard with the expenses.
All right. Well, very wise words coming in from Mrin Agrawal. I hope all the viewers, especially the parents, are taking note of every point that you're mentioning at this juncture. Mrin, we have more queries planned for you, but this is going to be from kids. They also have a wish list. They also have goals. But we'll address all that and more with Mrin Agrawal on the other side of this break.
I don't know. 1 crore. 1 crore. 7 crore. 10 lakhs crore. I'll keep it in my piggy.
I would like to buy many books.
When I grow up, I might get a motorbike and buy an airplane ticket to go to America for 1 year.
Well, he sure has a long list. To ensure that your child's dreams as well are fulfilled, watch the Children's Day special edition of The Money Show.
Welcome back. You're still watching the very special Children's Day episode of Buy Now, Sell Now. Well, before we proceed any further, here's a quick word of thank you for all our viewers. Once again, they've chosen ET Now as their preferred destination for all things markets, corporates, business and policy. Thank you so much. We've got a 56% share, and it's all thanks to our viewers who've time and again preferred ET Now. On to the markets. Nifty is trading with a gain of about 0.2%. We've seen a sudden up move as far as the benchmark index is concerned. If we pull that up, we can see the kind of up move that it is. What it has happened in the last half an hour odd. It's gained about 30 odd points at this juncture, but still I would say it's been a softish trading day so far. What is aiding this up move today is a Nifty IT index. It's up 0.7%. A Nifty Bank has bounced back from yesterday's carnage. It's gained about 0.5% as well. Auto index is also looking fairly good. It's up 0.4%, as well as the media index. After the massive sell-off in the media index yesterday, it has seen some recovery to an extent of about 0.7% in trade. Okay, let's move right on and talk to Mrin Agarwal. Mrin, we have a very special set of queries right now. Of course, managing money, planning finances is no kid's job. But there are some kids that we got in touch with who have goals already, who have set targets for set timelines, and they want to know how much can they save in order to fulfill their dreams, in order to fulfill their medium-term goals without hassling their parents or without putting any financial pressure on their parents. Firstly, I must laud how independent kids have become these days. But if you look at their queries, first up, it's a 6-year-old. It's Zidan. That's the name of the kid. He wants to buy a motorbike and travel to America when he grows up. I'm assuming, Mrin, he can be buying. He'll be able to buy a motorcycle only when he turns 18. So with that time horizon, how much money should he start saving each month or each year? What is the kind of targets should the kid have?
When I grow up, I'll buy myself a motorbike and I'll buy an aeroplane ticket to go to America for 1 year. Get an iPhone 11 Pro and then fly to America to meet this YouTube group called #Sisters. They perform songs and they do normal videos. A bike and a phone and a car. When I grow up, I want to have all the pets in the whole world.
I would like to buy many books because I love reading.
I would like to buy a mobile phone for myself when I grow up. Headphones, earphones, like necessary things. I would like to buy many toys and I would like to go shopping. I would like to buy a laptop. I would like to buy a phone. I would like to buy a nice bag for going to college. When I grow up, I'll buy myself a motorbike and I'll buy an aeroplane ticket to go to America for 1 year.
Well, Mrin, if we talk about the wish list, two things that have been the clear winners or the clear, dreams or targets for these kids is either technology or traveling to America. First up, let's talk about Zidan's wish list then. He's about 7 years old now. So how much should he start saving?
Well, I think he's looking at buying a motorbike, which is certainly not a cheap bike. I think it starts at around 13 to 14 lakhs. And if he were to want to buy this when he is, let's say, 18 or 21, he's got about 10 to 13 years to go for the goal, and I think he needs to be investing around maybe 7 to 9,000 rupees a month for that at this point in time. So that's really the sort of money that he needs to save in order to reach this particular goal. And I'm sure that along the way, along with the motorbike, I'm sure that many other goals, many other aspirations will also get added to this. So I think what he really needs to keep in mind is that while it's nice to have some of these big aspirations, you must remember that you need to be saving for it, because it can't come from mom and dad bank all the time.
Absolutely. In fact, mom dad can start at least planning so that the corpus is ready and it doesn't come as a shock or a sudden surprise for them. Let's move on to our next query. Let's hear it out.
First, I would like to go for a trip to America. I would like to study abroad. I would like to buy many books because I love reading. I would buy a new phone, which is expensive.
Well, Mrin, that's Tiana for you. Her wish list: she wants to study abroad, she wants to make a trip to the USA, and wants to buy a lot of books. So let's talk. Okay, her name is not Tiana, my bad. Her name is Talisha. So tell us, what do you have in store for Talisha? How her parents can plan ahead?
First off, where her books are concerned, because it's nice that she's into reading, I think what she should do is that I'm sure she gets money from relatives during various occasions, or like birthdays or Diwali and stuff like that. I think that she should look at using this money to buy the books. Now, the bigger goal that she talked about, which is to study abroad. So obviously studying abroad costs a lot of money, and typical cost per year is about 50 lakhs if you were to do education in the US. Of course, if you go for some really, some courses might be even more. So let's say you need about a 2 crores outlay for education abroad, and that's like a huge amount. So even if you were to need this money 10 years down the line, the parents need to be saving around 1.75 lakhs per month, which is again a very, very large amount that they need to save per month. And the instrument that they need to choose is also really important. And since they have 10 years to go, I would suggest, please do not be conservative. Please choose things like multi-cap equity funds for this particular investment.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's how much you have to save, given that Talisha has a huge list of things to do by the time she grows about 15 to 17 years of age. Let's move right on and talk about the next query. It's from Tiana. Let's hear out.
Get an iPhone 11 Pro and then fly to America to meet this YouTube group called #Sisters. They perform songs and they do normal videos and challenges. So yeah.
Well, I think both the sisters definitely want to go, or friends, I'm assuming both of them want to go to the US. So that's one of the key things. They want to buy an iPhone 11, and I'm sure by the time they grow up, we'll have an iPhone 20 perhaps. So given that they want a high-end smartphone, want to travel abroad, and of course meet YouTubers, which is priceless, they cannot put a tag on that. What is the kind of planning the parents need to do?
Well, I'll answer this in two parts. The first part is, of course, the amount of money that's required. And I think roughly if they want to buy the phone and they want to go abroad as well, it's going to cost about 4 to 5 lakhs. And assuming that they do this 5 years down the line, they basically need to be investing something like 7,000 rupees per month for these particular goals. But you know, Karunaya, I think the common thing that seems to be coming across all these kids is that they have really high aspirations. And I think one of the things that parents also need to do is probably to tone down some of these aspirations, you know, because I mean, an iPhone 11 Pro costs you like what, 1.5 lakhs, right? So I think somewhere the aspirations need to start getting a little bit more balanced and maybe a little bit more conservative. And I think that's where you know, what happens is that children really emulate parents' spending and savings habit. So really it's upon the parents to be good role models to their children as far as even savings and investments is concerned. And that's where I think they'll have to bring in some moderation in terms of the sort of things that the kids want to have.
It was great chatting with you, and I'm sure lots of parents will get to learn a lot about their child's future planning, and they will start from day one itself, hopefully. Thank you so much once again for coming down and chatting with us and the parents.